Chances are you've used it this week, maybe even today. You looked something up, got your answer in seconds, and just moved on with your day. But the people who wrote it, they got no money, no fame, not even a quick thank you. And they did it anyway. This is the incredible story of how that simple, unpaid act completely upended a billion-dollar industry and maybe revealed something really profound about all of us. So take a look at this number, 6 million. What is that? The price tag on some fancy startup? The population of a country? Nope. That is the number of edits one single person, a volunteer named Stephen Pruitt, has made to Wikipedia. 6 million. On top of that, he's created tens of thousands of brand new articles completely from scratch. And that right there, that's the central mystery we're going to try to solve today. Why? Why would anyone pour that much of their life into a project for absolutely zero pay? To really get how amazing what these volunteers built is, we first have to look at the giant they took down. On one side of the ring, you had Encyclopedia Britannica. This was the undisputed champion, founded way back in 1768. By 1990, it was worth over $1 billion, had thousands of paid experts, and those fancy leather-bound sets cost a fortune. And on the other side, a website that literally anyone with an internet connection could edit. Well, in 2012, after 244 years, Britannica stopped the presses. This is a true David and Goliath story.
Okay, so let's get into it. Section 1, an impossible project. We need to dig into just how insane this disruption really was.
The speed of this whole thing was just staggering. Britannica had a 244-year head start. Microsoft tried to compete with Encarta. By 2009, it was gone. Google launched its own version called Null. They shut it down by 2012. None of these corporate giants could compete with a model that was not only free, but also way, way faster. And just look at the scale of this thing today. We are talking about roughly 24 billion page views every single month. It's published in over 340 languages, and the whole thing is kept afloat by about 120,000 active volunteer editors. This isn't some niche hobby. It's one of the most essential information sources on the entire planet.
All right, Section 2, the paradox of motivation. Here's where it gets really interesting. It wasn't just that Wikipedia was bigger and free. The real paradox, the part that completely breaks all the rules of economics, is that it was also shockingly good.
Back in 2005, the super prestigious journal Nature put this to the test. They had experts compare science articles side by side. What they find? Britannica averaged about 3 errors per article. Wikipedia, 4. The difference was basically nothing. Think about that. Unpaid amateurs were achieving the same level of accuracy as Nobel laureates.
This finding wasn't just interesting, it was a bombshell. It proved that this crazy collaborative model actually worked. But it still didn't answer that fundamental question. Why were all these smart people so motivated to do this for free?
Okay, Section 3, the code of collaboration. To unravel this mystery, we have to look into our own psychology. Because it turns out, Wikipedia didn't just build an encyclopedia. They accidentally tapped into the source code of human motivation. The secret ingredient is something psychologists call self-determination theory. It's a fancy term, but the idea is simple. It says that all humans have 3 core psychological needs. And when those needs are met, we perform at our best, and we feel great doing it. Wikipedia, without even trying, just nails all 3. So here's how it breaks down. First, you've got autonomy. On Wikipedia, you choose what you're passionate about. No one's going to assign you an article on 18th century pottery, unless that's your jam. Second, mastery. You get to see yourself get better in real time, from fixing a simple typo to writing a huge article. And every edit goes live instantly. Finally, purpose. Every little contribution you make is part of building a permanent record of human knowledge for everyone. And that purpose is so much deeper than just getting your name out there. It's not the immortality of fame. Most editors are anonymous. It's something you could call the immortality of utility. Your small correction, that one new article you wrote, it's now permanently woven into the fabric of what we all know, used by millions of people, basically forever.
So let's move on to Section 4, a pattern repeats itself. Now, you might be thinking, okay, that's a cool story, but Wikipedia has to be a one-off, a total fluke, right? Well, it turns out this pattern of massive, volunteer-driven value is actually everywhere once you start looking for it.
Take Linux. It was built entirely by volunteers, and today it runs 100% of the world's top 500 supercomputers. Or OpenStreetMap.
After the devastating earthquake in Haiti in 2010, its volunteers created life-saving crisis maps in just 48 hours, way faster than any official agency. And then there's Stack Overflow, the Q&A site for programmers. It sold for $1.8 billion, all built on answers from millions of unpaid contributors. This pattern is absolutely undeniable. And all of this brings us to today, Section 5, the human superpower. Because right now, this entire model is facing its biggest test yet, artificial intelligence.
It's a perfectly fair question, right? If a large language model can whip up a pretty decent article about ancient Rome in 10 seconds, do we really need Stephen Pruitt and his 6 million edits anymore? The answer, it turns out, is fascinating.
You see, their role has shifted. It's gone from just pure creation to something that's now way more valuable, curation. As the internet gets flooded with AI-generated content, some of which is just slightly wrong, and some of which is totally made up, the human editor has become a guardian of the truth.
This is so critical for the age we live in. These volunteers are now a human authentication layer. They're the firewall between real, verified human knowledge and what people call machine hallucinations. They use judgment, they check sources, they verify facts, all things that algorithms still can't do reliably. In an age of infinite content, their work is more valuable than ever before.
And when you put all of this evidence together, it leads to this one really profound idea. Let's call it the misalignment hypothesis. The idea is this. What if the problem isn't that people are lazy or selfish? What if the problem is that our most important systems, our companies, our economies, are built on a complete misreading of what actually drives human beings? Just, think about your own life for a minute. When have you done your absolute best work, your most dedicated work? Was it always for the biggest paycheck? Or was it when you felt a real sense of ownership, when you could see yourself growing, and when you felt like the work you were doing actually mattered? See, the success of Wikipedia forces us to ask some really big questions. If people just naturally want to share knowledge and contribute when we get the barriers out of the way, what other incredible collaborative projects are we just leaving on the table? How much human potential is trapped right now inside systems that are still based on carrots and sticks, instead of what we truly crave, autonomy, mastery, and purpose? So the next time you use Wikipedia, just pause for a second. Remember that someone you will never meet who got absolutely nothing in return wrote that for you. And remember that this story, it isn't just a feel-good, sentimental tale. This is data. Cold, hard data that suggests our entire understanding of motivation is long overdue for an update.